And hello, everyone. It is the 27th of August, 2020, the year of crazy things. Speaking of which, our hearts go out to the inhabitants of Texas and Louisiana who are being hit by as high as a Cat 5 right now. The oil rigs, I'm not looking forward to the news tomorrow. Very bad situation. And as usual, water figures prominently in the problem and the solution. So without further ado, I've got Tom Marchicello on the show, and he's, is that actually your beach?
That actually is Siesta Key Beach. It literally is the beach we go to all the time.
All right. So, it's truth in advertising, right?
They just got rated #1 beach in America again. So I'm just
I thought it was Clearwater.
We beat you again. Sorry.
Oh, okay, I got to move.
Well, that's why you lost, because you moved there and so it went down one level and
Ouch.
went up on mine because I moved here. Oh.
Don't Californicate Florida. Anyway. Without further ado, I don't think I was supposed to say that. Anyway, but let's move on. I'm seeing a good group of people show up, so we're going to go ahead and start without further ado. So welcome to Water is the New Gold, and it is a recession-proof market if you think about it, because water does not, recede, except when you're talking about the tides. But as a marketplace, it's always in more and more demand, and we're monetizing that marketplace. So as usual, I have a safe harbor statement, which says again that we have these various, we think, we may, and it's our best estimation of what is going on, but we are not fortune tellers. We do our best. Now, the first thing I'm going to play is a little recording of a show, the Ellis Martin Report, which airs on a variety of radio stations, in particular Drive Time, Boca Raton area, which has a lot of high net worth investors, which is the #1 reason we sponsor this report. But it also is a good source of new stuff. And this is where this first idea of being the GMAC kind of idea first occurred. So let's take a look. Ellis, the water industry is an interesting animal because it's $1 trillion industry. And yet we know there's all kinds of problems with water in the world, right? And so how do you fix it, right? And people think of the water industry as being these big sewage plants down by the river, this sort of mysterious stuff that happens. But in fact, there's been a trend happening which empowers you and me to do something about water. And it's called decentralization. So just to take your listeners back down memory lane. Post-war, the 50s, the 60s, big water treatment plants were built. 85% of America's water is treated by, I think, 5 massive water plants. And so this big central massive, it was how we did things in the 50s, right? Big things, and we'll take care of it for you. But the problem was that from 1960 onwards, there was a progressive degradation. The infrastructure started falling apart. The maintenance costs have risen steadily over the months since then, years rather. And we're left with a water industry that the infrastructure is just not there. And we get these terrible things happening where, in a place like Compton, California, the water runs brown, and the people living there go, "What happened?" And the water company says, "Well, you wouldn't give us the money." So things fell apart. So that's the reality. And that is, nobody's going to be building billion-dollar water systems. Nobody can agree on spending money anymore, except on, the most basic stuff. But water is just not getting the money. The good news is that increasingly there's technology for going small, treating the water from a single brewery or a housing development or an animal farm, right? Treating them on site. And that's interesting because once you have that ability, you can have people have a career. And this is what we developed, Ellis, is so exciting, is water as a career. And guess what? 80,000 businesses have gone belly up permanently in America this year alone. And that's not the end of it. So lots of entrepreneurs are around. Water needs help. Put them into these solutions, And we'll finance these machines for them, train them how to do it, show them how to market it, get them rolling, and they'll be solving water problems, making a good living. It's the new business post 2020. And the water industry, we call it the global blue phenomenon, because guess what? If you can get it going, it will be a phenomenon.
So in response to that, I had a friend over here in Malibu probably about a week ago, and I played her our last segment where we touched on this, just listening to the segment, and she perked up immediately. Now, this is a person who does fairly well in the business world as a controller, as an accountant, making a great salary, very respectable, and you need to make a lot of money to live here in Southern California. It's just the way it is. You know that. You used to live here. And she perked up and she said to me, how can I do that? I want to do that. And she asked me a lot of questions like, yeah, how do we get one of these deals? And I said, well, you can essentially for pool recycling, for instance, you can drop off the unit beginning of the day and pick it up at the end of the day, and maybe you've made $600 or $800. Well, I want to do that. So, and I think we're probably getting that kind of response in our audience, and you must be getting calls. You must be fielding calls about all this excitement. How do you field those calls? How do you take care of the business that's coming in, and how do you finance all that?
These are really good questions. We started with a pilot program, a machine that we have a Texas crew that builds custom systems on order. And a couple of years ago, they built this machine for this pioneer, Dwight Barber, who had the idea of doing pool water recycling. So instead of draining out the water in your pool, which you have to do every year or two, no, just run like a dialysis unit where it purifies it on a continuous basis. And we built it for him, and he put it to work. Well, he's an old man. He wants to retire. And so he came with this bright idea. Hey, why don't I train somebody? Well, one thing led to another, and we've now created a standard product called the Pool Preserver. And the Pool Preserver is now, I've only mentioned it in our CEO briefings, the ones that you've been listening to every Thursday night. Do you know we have already, 12 people or couples that want to start doing pool preserving as a business, a very lucrative business, and it's dramatically good for our Texas people. They get 12 times $120,000, so they're happy, and we're building a whole pool cleaning university for them, getting this whole thing packaged so that they can succeed, and the financing's cool. We're actually able, because we have investors, we're able to finance it internally, and it becomes a profit center for us as well. How profitable was GMAC for GM?
Wow.
It was
so you're becoming a financier then. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Why not?
Okay.
Now, with that said, how do people succeed who want to invest in this phenomenon? Well, they can invest. We have a bond that earns 12%, 8% stock, 8% cash, 4% stock, with a doubling of your money when you redeem it for stock, all that good stuff. And again, there's a disclaimer for that stuff. It's one of those Regulation D offerings. But what it does is it allows people to make money currently, a very good return. We use that money to generate these highly profitable value-added projects, so it's worth it for us. And they have the upside. Think about Tesla. There were two ways to invest in Tesla. The first way was equity, and you could lose everything because nobody was sure. If you were sure Tesla was going to succeed, then you're a liar. Nobody was sure. Or you could have, invested in the bond on the debt side. The problem with the equity is you could lose everything. The problem with the bond is you don't get the upside. We've combined it into two different, the two things into one vehicle, a bond that can be converted to stock anytime at a premium. It's extremely popular, and it allows us to do these creative financing programs and get people to work in the water industry today.
That is very interesting because I know many of the individuals that are, well, I don't know them personally, but I've had many Lyft drivers and Uber drivers that are now really not working, and they don't have that revenue source anymore. And they're all entrepreneurs, right? If you're going to sit in a car all day and drive strangers around. You've got to have a lot of ambition, not just, it's like you have no choice but to do that job. But this is a little bit more elective, and there's more revenue involved. You really don't have to drive around all day. So I imagine all those independent businesses, all those entrepreneurs that were all independent contractors and Uber drivers, they may now be, many of them, potential pool preserver purveyors.
Right. And then remember that Pool Preserve is just the first product. We have a product called the Pondster, the Pond Monster, which cleans up all those animal farm poop ponds and trailer park poop ponds. And so that's a series of businesses. We have a closed loop sewage system for businesses that want to set up off grid, like a housing development or a dealership that we did up in Pennsylvania. That can be a business. So we're taking all these products that we have sold already, built successfully, turn them into products, make a biz op, quote unquote, a career out of it, career package, roll it out. And guess what? These people are not going to be COVID out of their job, because if you think this is the end of all pandemics, you're crazy. Do not get stuck in a job that could get shut down by COVID again or some future whatever. So there was more, but I thought I would give you guys a quick look at where things started happening this week. And this modified this thing that I call the Origin Clear Wave. And I think you'll like where it goes. I'm going to give you a quick look at that too. So here we go. First, we have, a custom design that answers a specific customer need. And Tom's going to talk about a few of those this week. Now, is it potentially a product? Evaluation, is it potentially a career builder? And then turns into a refined, standardized product, and potentially a career builder package, which is where we're building it right now for the first product line. If people have good credit, they go ahead and get the package. They don't have to get the business opportunity package, but if they do, great, they get that. And then here's the pilot where we've actually done one and we want to do more, where we fund equipment rental and the Waters of Career package for the people who don't qualify. And we keep the title, which is an asset building strategy for us. Now, we're also developing external investors funding equipment rental. And that, again, I've been warning you guys for some time, is not a current offering. It's not something that we can offer. There's regulations about that, but that is in development. And then we, of course, manage the whole process, place rentals with new operators in case of default, and the returns are high enough that we get an excellent double-digit return. We keep refining this model and finding more and more interesting ways to make it sing. So what is internal funding all about? First of all, we raise money as we currently are, directed to these programs, candidates, get the returns, build the asset base, place the equipment. Remember that the Pool Preserver alone, all our products have, at least a quarter century life. And of course, there's a lesson learned for getting investors to invest. And that's very important for us. We don't want to scale up internal funding to the point that we're trying to do all the water equipment funding around. No, we want to bring in others. But this is a very important learning process for us. Develops all the contracts and, we learn how things turn over, what kind of abandonment is there, how much failure, how can we prevent failure, all that stuff. We're playing with our own money, so it's much easier to do. This is really, really, I think, a key breakthrough. All right, now, tying it all together, what do we got? Again, 10 years in the making. We have our partners, a few. We've really narrowed down to the ones who work in Europe, in India, in the Middle East. We've got a manufacturing division that's very versatile. We've got the modular water systems technology, which is this drop-in-place water system in a box. We can develop product lines now, and we're piloting this Waters of Career builder packages. We've got one pilot was already internally funded, and we can do more. And then this builds into, which is very exciting, the alternative investment marketplace. There's there's Dan Early, Mark Stevens, and myself in Texas. There's one of the units that Dan Early has developed in the past. And then there's this planned water marketplace where the arrows on both sides is us. So Origin Clear is being both the local water company and the money for now. This simplifies things. And with that, I hope I brought you up to speed on what we're developing. And Tom, this is your chance to shine.
Here I am. Booyah. All right. Hope everybody's doing good out there. We've been having fun, actually. I tell you what, we've been busy. Like, we're so busy to the point where, like, the team's like, do we have to do a meeting to talk about how much sales we have? I'm like, yeah, we actually do have to have a
I
meeting.
saw that.
It's kind of hilarious, but at the same time, just one of those quirky questions that comes up. I'm like, yeah. So the bottom line is, like, we've really been kind of pushing the edge. So I got the guys doing a little bit of overtime. They're definitely working it pretty hard, and it's happening on three different fronts right now. Obviously, we'll talk about our products that you've been just addressing, but in the core business, for the industrial side of things, we've been continuing to get orders, which have been really nice. We actually had a good success in getting a couple new contracts written in where the purchase orders have come in now, and those now will begin the whole process of procurement for equipment, and that'll be for traditional reverse osmosis systems, as well as some booster pumps stations and some media filtration. So that's good, and we're doing good on that front. Dan Early's been just crushing it out of the ballpark. So what's happened there is we've continued to do a process where Dan continues to do presentations to the engineering community. So what we have him set up to do is literally at least once a week, sometimes as many 3 times a week, but we're trying to get him in front of anywhere from 20 to 100 people at a time, where he does a webinar and he presents to engineers, civil engineers, water engineers, construction engineers, shows them our product line of what we're doing, explains things that are important related to wastewater treatment and drinking water treatment, then shows them things like our pump stations and our booster pumps and how those products can help the engineers. And then the engineers earn CE credits, which they need anyway for their continuing education. And what it's turned into is now we've got a pretty consistent flow of some fairly sizable engineering firms with anywhere from 50 to 300 employees at a time who are trying to get their engineers into these presentations to learn about water. And that's been clicking off just like almost like 4 or 5 requests a week now for bids and proposals. So it's quite amazing, actually, and we do need to hire an extra engineer to handle the workload. We are at that capacity point now, just on that one thing alone, and it's been great. And the quality of it's really high too. These are really high quality projects, and we're talking to decision makers. So I think that's like it's nice to see we're using the process over and over again, and it's working every time and getting better every time. So that's where we were on that one.
Nice.
The backlog was pretty high. So normally, the way we internally run our numbers is we look at our sales forecast number about here's, our pipeline of all our potential deals that are come in a month or a quarter. And then we figure out, what percentage of them are going to close. And then we try to close a certain percentage of them, in that time frame. So what's happened is on all fronts, all our numbers are up, and they're up like 200% on volume of projects in the pipeline, volume of projects that are actually nearing close now. So it's a very big jump in volume. And now that's also correlating to an improvement in our fundamental revenues, which is good. That's actually now starting to show through all the way across the board. So I really feel strong that we're producing well in that respect. So it's a good thing.
It's fantastic. And you have a marquee client that we got.
Yeah, we did. So we did close a very important client I've been working on for quite some time. As a matter of fact, Riggs was very essential in the process as well. We went after a fairly large hotel chain of a marquee name, and we did earn the business. Yay! And we do have the purchase order, and we do have a deposit in our bank account from it. And now the team is in the process of doing the design and build phase for that project. So it's a very important one for us that we care a lot about. And
what's the application?
So it's for a hotel that basically is going to help make sure the entire whole building of the hotel has incredibly clean, beautiful, filtered water everywhere. And so you'll be able to drink water out of any faucet anywhere in the building, and it will be better than any bottled water you could buy, any reverse osmosis that you could have in your house or out of your refrigerator. Basically, it's going to be the grade A water of an A-class hotel, right?
Wow.
So, you know, just like you have 5-star hotel ratings, you'll have 5-star water ratings now here.
Nice.
That's kind of what we're going to do.
Wow. And that's important, for example, for cooking, right?
Yeah, so it's important because what happens is in the hotels, like, you know, when you stay there, you've got a lot of operations. You've got a beautiful kitchen and beautiful bars and all the essentials of feeding the patrons who are there. So, of course, you want wonderful water because it's an ingredient to your food. You also have your spas and your pools and all the, you know, amenities that people want to enjoy. So you want wonderful, clean, disinfected water everywhere. And then, of course, when you're staying in your suites, you want to make sure that the water you're able to drink is clean and beautiful. And this hotel in particular wanted to go one step beyond that because they're also ecologically friendly. They believe that, you know, we should have a sustainability footprint where you reduce your carbon footprint, you don't use plastic bottles. They want to take that model that we've been sharing with people, which we were seeing in Europe, like France, for example, where the water is so good everywhere that you don't need to be putting things in plastic containers. Instead, you should be able to have your own glass jug, put it right under a spout, and pour the water straight into it. And the water you'll be receiving will be so perfect that you're safe and clean no matter what you do. And that's the promise that they're going for.
And it's wonderful because, of course, it took an incredibly long time to get it, but now we have the relationship. There's going to be a lot of momentum from all the various units, right?
Yeah, we've been mining our time on this one to make sure we got it right. You know, it took a few spins on it, but now we're in with, you know, the right process, and now we'll be able to also hit multiple units because we've also been able to bid on other hotels within the same chain now.
Sure.
And so they're hoping that we become like a template for them and a go-to service provider or partner where they know that when it's this issue for water, boom, they can tap Origin Clear, and then we've got a solution ready to go for them. We can deploy it again and again at their facilities. And then obviously you and I will go off to look at other hotel chains as well, because, hey, we should share the wealth, right? Yeah, so.
You know, it's very important to go on site and verify that the quality of the hotel is excellent.
I think so, especially when you're buying me a beautiful steak dinner there. I think it'd be great.
I look forward to actually traveling again, actually.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? You know,
it would be very, very nice.
Travel has been a little quirky right now. So, yeah. But no, I'm excited about the hotel space. I particularly like hotels, hospitality, you know, restauranting, because it's all part of the spectrum of hospitality, right? Because when you think of the consumption of water in all its formats, these are very heavy users of water in a lot of ways, and they also have an obligation to customers for cleanliness. So when it comes to disinfection and sanitation requirements, there's obligations. You know, we really are very capable of handling those obligations to make sure they're satisfied properly. So we're a great fit for this industry. And then there's always a need. So there's never going to be a lack of the need, you know. And, you know, coronavirus and everything will in some point pass. So this is an interesting moment in history where it does give everybody a chance to kind of catch up, put systems in place, and be ready for when everybody comes back on properties and, you know, starts doing things. And for the people who are traveling now, because there are people who business travel, they'll feel more secure staying in a hotel like this, knowing they're doing everything in their power to make sure the water is more clean and hygienic.
Yeah, well, there's sanitation is also sanitization, right? And so sanitization is anti-COVIDing, and it's not going to go away. We're going to have to keep sanitizing because there's a new awareness of the danger of these, whatever's coming out of China next. We have to be ready. And so I think we're going to have those defenses like anti-spam appliances in a business. You're going to have a sanitization strategy. So this is excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, you know, we got that going for us. I'll give you updates on other things we've been busy at, obviously. I know you talked about our favorite little project, the pool preserver. And I've been really heads down on that a lot for the last couple of weeks. And this week was no different. A lot of phone calls and emails and talking to people one-on-one. So at this point now, we have many dozens of people who have reached out to us and put their hand up and said, I want one. This is really cool. You guys are great. You know, the requests come in all sorts of different ways, and then I try to follow up. And people are really motivated by the business opportunity. They're just flat out saying, look, coronavirus is scary. The world is upset. I want a way to take care of my family. I want a way to make money, or I'm thinking of retiring from my other business. I want to start my next thing. and they see the pool preserver as this cool, fun business that they can participate in. It's a good lifestyle business. It makes good money. They like the fact that the machine's doing the work and they're not scrubbing, pool decks.
Right, right.
That's fun for them. And we've got it pretty organized. The team and I have been responding. Now we've got proposals that have actually now gone out the door for sales proposals with price quotes. We have a series of negotiations currently underway with some folks who are looking at purchases, as well as others who are looking at financing. And I got the whole CRM stuff organized for us now so that we can be a lot more organized and just kind of have it a little faster internally. And the team's on board, and Mike, our VP of sales, is now involved in the process to make sure that we close our leads properly and we manage the clients. So we're really trucking along. We even have a guy who's coming for a site visit. He wants to see the factory in person, and I'm like, come on down. He was just up in Dallas, so I'm like, come visit. And so he was excited.
Wow, that's just so cool. Well, the fact is that we're so accustomed to these lengthy city and large company processes that takes months and months. And here we have an opportunity with individuals and couples who want to start a small business, and it happens so much faster. And this is really, I think, potential driver for fast increasing revenues, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I actually wrote it down. I have slides here, which I could share, but I'll just talk it through. But bottom line is, like, I've already backlogged about $3 million in sales pipeline just on the pool preserver right now in the CRM.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I was like, whoa, holy moly. And I got $500,000 in proposals out the door already on this. Like,
and this is for our Texas unit, which does about $1 million a quarter. And here you're talking about $3 million, which is 3/4 of a year's worth. Now, we're not saying these will all go through, but we have to disclaim all that stuff. But this is what Ken likes to call a force multiplier, right?
Yeah, it was a big jump. I mean, obviously, a lot of this is about like execution, like always, and financing. So it's important to match the entrepreneur with the financial capability, but the interest level's there, and the interest level is very fast, and it's a lot different than some of the other products we've sold. So it's really cool. And I tell you what, geography wise, it's everywhere, man. We're getting folks from California and Arizona and Ohio and North and South Carolina, Florida, Georgia. I literally am talking to people everywhere. It's kind of cool too, because I'm like, how's it over there? And they're like, this is great. We love it. We love our pools. I'm like, they're just really real people, very real, down to earth, trying to do like a normal business. The thing that guys have, and ladies actually have too, said to us is they like the fact that we didn't put a huge amount of structure around this, because they were kind of tired of the over-structured like franchise kind of opportunities. They saw this as like they could really craft their own business around this and build it to however they scale they want, right? If they want to stay small mom and pop style, that's cool. If they want multiple units, they can go for it. If they want to look at like, having a territory model in their mind, they can think how they want to do it. And so they're excited. So they're also sharing information back and forth to us, which led us into the last part of our conversation, which is the business in a box, right?
Right.
Because as folks got into it, they said, what are you doing for us on marketing and sales? So you and I went out and put some more marketing and sales power to it. So we reached out to our friend who's now, I just got an email a few hours back about what we're doing here to really pump up the marketing and sales. So ideally what I want to have is a turnkey system, which says, okay, you got a machine and you're in the business. And now you're saying, how do I get my first, sale? How do I get my first customers? Where am I advertising? So we've got everything from traditional advertising ready now, door hangers and flyers and, billboard stuff and yellow pages, and digital marketing now, Facebook ads and Google ads that people can kind of turn on, and they can turn it on with our sales marketing program, the Business in a Box program, where they can just activate that if they want to as well. If they're great at all those things personally and they have it already, they can do it themselves. But as well as I do, people want to help a hand to get off the ground fast. So, hey, let's do it. So,
well, not only that, if they're people that have to be funded creatively, then they must have the Business in a Box, because we don't want them to fail. But if they're going to put up their own hard cash and buy it, have fun, right?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I did get a sneak peek at the new video from Steven. and our trip to Arizona the other day. It's awesome.
No way.
Yeah, I saw it tonight, and that led to our existing tradesman just so excited. He was like, "Oh my gosh, that video is so cool." He's like, "Thank you," because he's going to use it also for his business, right?
Wow.
And he actually then wants to talk to me about other units because he now sees the vision of him owning multiple units and doing it more and more in his region. So he's really, really motivated.
Well, I can't wait to show that video on next week's show. That's fantastic. The quality of what my brother Steven did in video. He's a Hollywood director and editor, and it shows. So it's going to be fun doing that. So thank you, Tom. That's fantastic, amazing update. In the interest of time, I'm going to wrap this up very quickly. But thank you. I'm loving where it's going. So with that, I'm going to quickly segue through. Of course, how do you participate in our future? It's a corporate bond, meaning you get yield. And we now have, since 2018, we have paid these dividends faithfully. I just authorized a new chunk of dividends to be paid out for this quarter. What you get additionally, in addition to the yield, you get a freebie 25% of your investment as stock that can then be converted anytime. And it's the low price is captured, which is very important in case the stock runs, that low price is captured. And then if for some reason the stock price is lower when you convert, it adjusts to the lower price. So you're pretty well protected there. You redeem the investment for double in stock at the later price, and it's only for accredited investors. Quickly now, why? Again, water's a career, revenue and assets from these water equipment systems, developing this Airbnb for water, get paid to wait, get those double-digit dividends, choose stock conversion. It's that hybrid I was talking about. And with that, I would like you very much to contact us. But here's your phone number to call, or just go into your browser and type oc.gold/Ken, and you'll get a call with Ken. And Ken is unbelievably literate about this. He and I actually developed this together since January 29th, when we realized that COVID was going to change the world with this quote unquote epidemic from Wuhan. Little did we know. But we knew something was changing, and he and I have worked closely with Tom Marchicello to develop this brave new world. So with that, there's a quick disclaimer that this is a Regulation D offering, meaning it is not approved, and it's not registered by the Securities Exchange Commission. And of course, all securities involve risk and loss. Thank you, and I appreciate you being with us. I really want you to join us next week. There'll be this wonderful infomercial style video on the pool preserver, Ryan Kustra in Phoenix, being shot, and apparently he loves it and wants to use it in his own business. So we're very, very excited about that. Again, have a great weekend. We're wrapping up August here. The next one will be, I believe, the 3rd of September. Do join, and we will give you a lot of new stuff next time. oc.gold/CEO to get into the next briefing. Thank you.